All right, we are back at it today. We're going to do a side sonic in a what I call a dirty shad. So what we've already done, we've taken a Autoborn Sealer white and covered the entire bait. I came back over it with titanium white, and then we came over and put one coat of UVLS over that because I'm going to use some stencils and I just don't want to scratch the paint up. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take a Gerald Mendez texture stencil and we're going to kind of go over this top section here. I'll show you, like right where the shoulders are. So let me just get some paint in the gun. We're going to use some carbon black. And we're going to be spraying on about 20. I don't know what I just knocked off. Oops, there's my reducer. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is just a texture stencil from Gerald Mendez, and we're just going to line it up. What we're going to do is we're going to stick it right there on, so I can do it on both sides, and we're just going to come down the top of it. Okay, and then we'll cover the top. And we'll flip it over. And we'll take the stencil and we'll just flip it over and just hold it down. Like I said, I'm just going to line it up on the, and just go over the top. And I'm just going to take and put that on in black. Okay, so we'll heat set that, and I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do that yet. That side I like a little bit better. It came down a little further, and we'll hit this on this side a little bit. I want some of that, I like that textured look there to come down. Okay, that gives it a little bit better look. All right, so we'll go ahead and I will go ahead and darken these eyes up. That one was already dark anyway. Go ahead and darken the mouth. Okay, so we'll clean our gun out real quick and we'll go on to the next step. All I'm cleaning my gun out with is hot water, and I use the 4011 reducer. I don't put anything harsh in my gun because I use a lot of epoxy, and if you're using epoxy, you don't want to, it will have an adverse effect to it. You don't want to put harsh chemicals on when you're trying to do that. It will fish eye, and it'll aggravate the fool out of you if you're not careful with it. So you really don't need anything else but hot water. And I mean, if I get some dried paint in, I do something, I use actually Createx Restore. That's actually a very good product. I haven't had any problems with it leaving residue where my epoxy was having an ill effect. So I'm going to go ahead and take the heat gun and dry this off with a blow dryer. Now what I usually do is I can take this loofah, just regular bath loofah, and just don't stretch it out all the way, and you can make it have those real tight looking scales. But I'm gonna try it with this new scale stencil I got from Anarchy. I just want to see how it's gonna work. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put some iridescent silver fine in the gun, shake it up, and we're gonna put some scaling over these sides where the black is. I'm not gonna go below that. So what I'm gonna do is, and like I said, this is just the tips only. I love this stencil. I've gotten so that I really like it. So I'm just gonna go over it where the black is. And you can see it gave it a cool stencil look here. I gotta come back over right here. I'm gonna let that dry real quick. I'm gonna heat set that, a matter of fact. I put it on there a little hot, but it did exactly what I wanted it to do. So you can see it. Let me take it off so you can see it, and I'll get it up closer to the camera. But it puts those fine detail scales on there, and that really looks good. So what I'll do is I'll flip it over, dry this stencil off, because I don't want to stick a wet stencil on there, but I really like this little stencil. I knew it was going to do really well over that black. So we'll lay it over that. Get our gun and go ahead and probably have to do it in sections. Okay, that looks good. It really did a good job. Okay. Let me clean that out real quick. I'm not going to do anything to the top. I'm going to leave it black. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use some pearl, some iridescent pearl, fine, shake it up, and I'm just going to put a few blotches on this side of it with the same stencil. Except on, let's see, I will use this one. This one's got a lot of small ones on it, and I kind of want it, I don't want it to be super big. And what it does is it blotches it up, and it gives it a really unique look. See if you can see that. I'll pick it up here in a minute and let you look at it. Let that dry. I'm gonna heat set that really fast. flip it over. Go ahead and lock my thing in. Make sure I got enough paint in here. And like I said, it's hard to see. You know, you really gotta look at it and just back out of it, because once you turn it, then you see it. And we'll go ahead and heat set that. That really looks good. I'm gonna clean the gun out really fast. Okay, get this dried out. And then what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna put a little bit of iridescent gold fine in it. The eyes I got a little bit of gold in them. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of this mottled on the, right here by the face, just to kind of accent the color, because I am gonna use the gold. Like I said, I'm not gonna use a lot of this. I'm actually using the ultra fine model. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you a trick. These stencils, they come with a pretty good border on them. I usually cut one side all the way down so I can get it up in tight places on my baits. I've got a couple of these stencils and I've done the same thing, and it just works out really good. I've just trimmed it off. Then you can kind of put it up against little corners like what I'm gonna do here. And I'm just gonna do right up here on the face. And I'm just putting a little bit of gold. That's it. Just enough so when I put my eyes on, it's got a little bit of gold tint to it. Okay, we'll heat set that, clean the gun out. We'll put our eyes in. I'll tell you something else about this that would be really good is when you're using the black top, if you like to use the color shift paints, this is really where they come into play. Because you could actually use, I could do it on this one here. I've got numerous different ones. I could just put color base on the tippy top of it. Whether I've got some new Surge Green that would look really good with this. But I kind of wanted a black bait, so I'm gonna leave it alone. But it's just some other tips and ideas that you can use. I've got a couple different color shifts from Lure Build that I could use. I have a light chameleon. I have a green to gold. I've got some that you can really make them pop. And I like the color shift paints. They can make a huge difference in what you're doing. And they turn out really good. Okay. All right, so we're going to take and heat set this. And I'll put the eyes in it, then I'll go over the paints that I used. So let's go ahead and take this out. We'll go ahead and take the tape off. I'm going to leave the bottom just white because most shad bottoms are white, and I kind of like that look. So we're going to go with that. So we'll go ahead and take this tape on off. Get it off. It's a relatively simple pattern, but it's effective. It's a really cool looking color, because if you look at shad, especially if you fish with them, I fish with a lot of blueback herring where I live, and anytime I have them in the tank, they're constantly shedding their scales, and they look just like this. They look beat up and just roughed up. So we'll go ahead and try these eyes, see how they look. I've got 2 eyes here in case I don't like these. I just thought these would kind of set it off a little bit. I think the eyes make your baits half the time anyway. So let me see where my sponge is. I'll get this over here and set it up. And we'll go ahead, and these are down looking eyes. They really kind of set off what a mega bass bait looks like anyway. They actually look really good. I'm gonna keep them on there. I could have used a gray eye. Let me see. I think these are a tad bit big. Let me look at them. Well, I kind of like them better. We're gonna have to go with that. That makes it look really real. So we're gonna take these back out and go with these. These are kind of a smoke. These give it a more lifelike look. And I'll go ahead and put a coat of UVLS over this. Okay. And I'll let you see, whoops, I just dropped it off. They're a little bit big, but I think they'll work. So that's what you get. It has a really good look. It's got a lifelike look, I'll tell you that. It gives it a neat look. And so what I'll do, I'm gonna go ahead and go over the paints and the stencils really quick, and I'll go ahead and put the last coat of UVLS on this off camera. So let me get my stand back out so you can kind of see what we got going on. I've changed my booth area around. I'm having trouble finding all my stuff. Okay. All right, so what we did first was we actually came in with an auto-borne sealer, white, and put a coat of it on there. Then I came back over it with one coat of titanium white from Golden. Then I put one coat of UVLS gloss 4050. And the reason I do that, again, is, like I said, I was using stencils and I just didn't want to scratch it up. It just helps. It just saves a lot of headaches later. Then I came back over it and we used the Gerald Mendez texture stencil and just kind of cropped the top off, painted it, just got like an outline, did it on both sides. Then we came in with some iridescent silver on the tips only, anarchy stencil, and got our scale pattern in there. Left the top plain black. Came back over it with the same Gerald Mendez texture stencil with some iridescent pearl and put the blotches in here and kind of just beat up the shad a little bit. Then we came back in with some iridescent gold fine with the super small model stencil. I just put some around the face, and it really helped even with these eyes. I think it still worked out great. And I came down probably a little far on my sides. I usually would put a kill dot on there, but I'm gonna leave it alone. I like the way it looks. Then I'm going to come back over, put a coat of UVLS on it. We use some eyes. These eyes came from Louisville. They're like a, kind of like a smoked gray silver, real cool looking eye, but you can get those at Louisville through Jimmy. They're called the cold eyes, the number 7 cold eyes, 7mm. I think they have warm, cold, hot. It's just a texture of the eye, really cool. So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when I have upcoming videos. I hope you like the Dirty Shad. Like I always say, I'll catch you next time. Thanks.